Hello, I'm Goldsource Freeman, and welcome to another video. Today's video, we're going to go through an overview of the entire Blue Source series. So we are going to go through all the lore since the very beginning and to the very end to now, explaining it, fixing the plot points, and just overall trying to explain what the story was and try to explain where it's going. So, get right into it. It all began with Blue Source Episode 1.1, originally known as J-Mod and, J-Modula, all these other names that, were ridiculous and pretty bad in this, sound. Like, how J-Modula makes no sense. J-Mod because Gary's mod, Jaden's mod, it's how the saying went, but then I turned it to Blue Source. But anyways, this is the pilot episode. The pilot episode from, if I remember, this was 3 years ago, started to focus around this mysterious tone, of course. And, zombie-ish tone. There was a virus that's been expanded on the reboot I did. And in this one, didn't expand that much on it. It just said it, and that was it. And now, that's what this whole episode is about. Jones hears something from the dark room, and he goes to the dark room. And it goes on to episode 2. The virus is spreading, which makes no sense because how is it spreading? In the reboot, the outside world is completely destroyed. So that would make more sense on what happened. And then it would go on to part 1, which is what I'm going to reboot right now. Well, what I mean by right now, I'm not saying like I'm going to do it right now. That would be ridiculous of me. Take too long, waste a lot of my energy to do this, and probably burn me out. Part 1 is every episode mixed together and was like a long form to continue into the into the finale, which the finale, as we know it, as I know it, will actually be mixed in with the episode. So the episode is actually going to be way more different than it was in the original series. And yes, I'm expanding more on the aspects of everything. Like, how does no clip work? It's like this, like, you have the ability to physically go through any wall you can think of. So, like, physical matter, you can just go right through it. You can fly anywhere you want. That's what no clip is. And in the spawn menus, there's, like, power that allows you just to create things from any could be from any matter out of thin air, like you fabricated it, something like in Subnautica, you fabricate your items, something like that. But instead, it's like you use your head to just control how you would spawn things, and that's how in the original series, in the original series, I spawned them right in front of you because it was the only way. It's not like I'm gonna be able to just script it for everywhere I go to have enemies spawn in, like Combine, Mesher Cop, Combine Guards, or Combine Light. I can't do that. Not yet. That's basically some lore on the spawn menu, and also a reason why I use the spawn menu a lot throughout the original series. I have a lot of voice cracks, sorry for that. Then it would go on to season finale, which will be mixed up with the new reboot series. And then we go on to chapter 2. This is when Ben gets introduced. TV, who gets turned into a human now. Yes, I've found some new models, some original from Valve and others by other creators like Simon from Cry of Fear. That replaces Alexander because the blue guy model was originally deleted by the creator of him. And so you are replacing the models. Jones got a new model, which is Vengeance Jones. And I updated my model to be David, also from Cry of Fear. But I actually like. And so, expand the lore. Jupiter Freeman. And, thinking of maybe I could change it to be better. Something better for people to pronounce. So, now we go, through chapter 2, which is through Ben's view. We go through ZS Vector, see him go through, some random shit. Pardon the language, of course. Then we have Jonesy's Nightmare, where he sees Dr. Breen. Chapter 3, we get the view from Alexander. And throughout these views of them are during the events of Chapter 1. So throughout Chapter 1 are the events of Chapter 2, 3, and eventually 4. Now, but prior to 4 was the original Blue Source Jim Audience movie, which is was scrapped a long time ago due to storage issues. I have found the map for that, so I could remake that, but that's the con. Throughout that series, then I would get introduced, but I changed it to be Jupiter. So Jupiter gets introduced, and then he would become the new protagonist. Now that's different. Jones, Jupiter, Alexander, Ben, and Tom will all get their own series together. So they're all going to be bundled up, and they're all going to have their, views from their perspectives, so that they're all protagonists. So that it doesn't look like the original series, where Jupiter, who was, usually originally used to be me, because self-inserting myself into the story, and I did not like that. I would just turn myself into a protagonist, and then whatever everybody else, they don't get anything. They're just like, hey, this lore is just gone. Goodbye. This new character, he's a new protagonist. Not anymore. I'm done with that. Everything's gonna be freaking changed. I am not, and I mean it, I am not going to allow Jones, Ben, Tom, or Alexander to not have any more lore. Jupiter, Jones, Ben, and Tom, and Alexander will all get their respective roles. They will have more expand lore than they did before. They will have more important roles. So they're not just side characters just laying on the ground, sitting there, thinking it's, whatever, not my story, not my problem. That's all going to change. So the events of everything, and eventually Temples of Wisdom, Rise of Justo 7, New World, New Problems, Scorched Trail, Hunt of Jade, Jupiter's Revenge, Infinity Realm, in the end, will all be different and changed up. Fix up the lore. Every enemy will come back, and of course there's Jade, who I gotta find a replacement model for. And eventually when I do, everything will go to plan, especially with the maps. Some maps I haven't found so far, some I've made a lot of them. I have found. I will publish a collection archive of all of them eventually when I find all of them. If not, I'll just post what I can. And that's that. So, how do I explain the lore? Well, let's get into it. The lore of Blue Source and JMod, as it's originally titled, of course, is complicated. It's convoluted. It is so hard to explain. There are many events that happen in a story that either contradict the prior events, plot points that shouldn't make any sense, and areas that wouldn't possibly exist on Earth, as is this place, and 3 Earths to be exact. Each are not destroyed, they're just temporarily, destroyed by EMPs or something that prevents humans, except for Combine, to access. So if you're a human on that planet, and you go onto it after the events of a story event, you would probably suffer a heart attack from Combine technology. This is like a more expand upon Combine lore in my universe rather than Valve's universe, of course. Yes, they're still the same Combine. There are new models I have coming out for these Combine. And of course, I will credit those creators, because all the creators of these models and maps, add-ons that I'm using to create this, from machinima to first-person gameplay styled, all of them will be credited. But back to the lore. Very convoluted. It's hard to explain. From what I remember, of course, it's basically Jones is the first person to discover the Combine. Other people in the military of Gary's Modland did not. Jones would be hunted first by Dr. Wallace Breen after his eventual hirement. After the 7-hour war, because the events of Half-Life 2 also matching with this timeline. And then eventually, all these other people who have been granted these powers from a wormhole that was created to allow these other people from different universes to access the Gary's Modland world. And that's why, how it kind of explains how Gary's Mod, all these add-ons, of course, it's from other creators who have published who put their work into it and published them to the workshop. It explains that it's like a universal portal to allow, like, let's say, Crash Bandicoot, Sly Cooper, Ratchet and Clank, Richard, or pretty much anybody to go in here and leave and as they please. So that was until Crow Cruncher and Cursor Creature came, caused a lot of issues. The wormhole had a meltdown. Eventually, the Combine find out, and then our story goes on throughout this entire goddamn series of our protagonists are the Gary's Modland Resistance, trying to stop the Combine from taking the wormhole's power, killing them, because they will die if that happens, because once they get too much power, well, there's nothing that's going to stop them. So they do. They actually do it. After many years of fighting, they eventually kill the advisor, that being Jupiter, who does it, back when he had the James Sunderland model from Silent Hill 2's remake, or the original Silent Hill 2 if you want to be all retro. Then G-Man, who is the actual main antagonist for causing these events, he was the reason why the wormhole exists in the first place. He created these events. Well, it wasn't him who created the events, it was his employers. And he supported it, and he continued their work. Rather than being a heavy antagonist trying to stop the Gary's Modland Resistance, he's just been watching this whole time. He dies, but those are his clones. He prepares for this. He knows that everything is going to happen, and it's all going to go according to plan. And so he reveals himself at the very end of Blue Source N, and Jupiter is sent to the LLU. But in the reboot series, because it doesn't make any sense now, G-Man reveals himself and tells them that, after he making Jupiter a pawn, because Jupiter's been a pawn this whole time, he says that he's gonna continue this. But Jupiter, knowing too much, is gonna be sent to the LLU, where he can never, ever come back. Because the LLU and the Blue Source universe are connected, but it's impossible to enter without special technology that allows you to pass through the barrier that allows you in. And I would not go in because your body is going to transform and it's going to be absolutely painful. But since it's just G-Man who's doing it, nothing happens. Jupiter keeps his form. Jupiter is sent to the LLU, and the rest of Blue Source goes on. Without Jupiter, the events I have not created yet. And that's basically a summary of the events. The Combine invade. Well, let's restart. So here's a complete, quick summary. The Gary's Modland is created by a wormhole after the Big Bang. That was created by the G-Man and his employers. Gary Eisen and the governor would continue the work on it. Co-Cruncher and Cursor Creature would be created, cause mayhem. The wormhole would go critical, have a meltdown. over the next years, the Combine, who was pretty far away at the time, would eventually find this in a different universe and travel all the way here. Jones, Alexander, Ben, Tom, and Jupiter would have to go through all this hell to stop the Combine from getting closer and closer to the wormhole's power, each time killing one of the leaders of it. The main leader at the time is the G-Man and his employers. And that's why Final Trader also explains this. And that being said, Coach Cruncher would be killed afterwards, because Coach Cruncher would finally make his way up the ranks. G-Man, of course, died, but again, that was a clone. He creates clones because he knows this is going to happen. After the death of Coach Cruncher, G-Man, now, furious that this is going to fail, decided to revive everybody. That's why the teaser trailer for the end has everybody in there, including the Shapeshifter, who's going to be the original antagonist of the series. The first part never came out. I never got to make it. But the second part takes place after the war, when the Combines got killed and everybody who was a part of them were also killed. G-Man knew this moment was going to happen. Jupiter would go down into the depths of Construct and find G-Man. Well, after killing the Advisor and the Shapeshifter once more. Well, Shapeshifter. And then to kill the Advisor, finally destroying the Combine Empire once and for all. Then the G-Man revealed himself, sent him to the LLU, and that's it. So that's basically a quick summary. It's very hard to explain if you do not know the deeper lore. And that's the issue. The deeper lore was never said. And now I'm finally going to put it out. Well, that's all I have for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. I actually put a lot of work into just wanted to do this. And by work, actually going through these of quite back, put them on the wiki, and using my knowledge from that, it took a lot of time for me to understand this and how I did this. And especially at the time, I never had any lore for it, and so I'm like, wait a minute, what would be the lore? And I finally constructed some lore. GM and Construct. Main important location there. Well, that's, again, all I have. Hope you enjoyed this video. Again, voice crack, I don't know why. Hope you enjoyed this video. And the next one, might be the episode. I'm not confirming it, but I guess that's it. Goodbye. Stay tuned, because you never know when it's going to come out. All I'm going to say, expect it in July. But who knows? I might not make it then, might not be able to publish it, because it's taken a while to do this. I already have 2 maps set up for recording, but for now, that's it. And I know this video is not going to get that much views as my Jones in Prison video did. Because, as well, on top of all of this, they never get that many views, and that's kind of sad. I actually really wish it did, but it doesn't. Because videos about yourself don't get that many. So I hope this video at least gets some sort of attention, some views, at least above 10, but probably not. This is what it's like to be a small channel. Anyways, goodbye.